This is Halftime with the Playmakers, your midweek partner with the live show The Playmakers, aired on WANM 90.5 on Saturday from 12:30 to 2 p.m. I am Austin Kaysen. In today's show, we have some great topics, including FAMU men's and women's college basketball, national college basketball, the NFL, and the NBA. But to help me with these topics, I have some amazing guys in the studio. Introduce yourself, fellas.
Yo, it's your boy EGR3. Every journey remembered. Let's make some more.
What's going on, Flavor Station? It's Jay Lloyd, man. You already know the deal. Bringing the sauce all the way from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let's go.
What's good, y'all? It's Elijah. First time on the pod. Really excited to be here. Let's talk some sports.
Absolutely. Great to have you, Elijah.
Yes, sir.
Always excited to have new voices, perspectives, and energy on the pod. But like I said, I'm the host, Austin Kaysen, repping that 615, Nashville, Cashville, Tennessee. But without wasting any more time, let's hop right into our first topic, which is the FAMU men's basketball team, who is currently on a 2-game losing streak. What are you hoping to see from the team with 3 games left after losing those 2 games in Alabama to Alabama State and Alabama A&M?
I think the obvious answer would be let's win out. Whether that's possible or not is yet to be seen. I think the consistent theme with this team for the entirety of the season has been inconsistency. There are times where it looked like we could win the SWAC, and then sometimes we look like we don't belong on the court with the other team. Just consistency that'll be the thing that I would want to see throughout the rest of the season.
I have to agree with consistency, too. You know, real rough trip for us in Alabama. I just want to see some clean basketball down the stretch, holding on to the ball. And when we have leads in these games, just make sure that we're maintaining them by making adjustments in the second half. I know that's on coaching mostly too, but it's also on the players to be able to execute on the court. And really, if we're in close game situations, just show our poise and close out in those close game situations. So just overall, I'm looking for this to be one of our better stretches of the season, even beyond just the win streak. I need the last 3 games of the season to be a stretch of complete basketball, just through and through.
I gotta say what I'm looking for the most. These 3 games, especially, looking at who we play home at Grambling, home at Southern, and then away at Bethune. I'm looking at that Southern game, and I'm looking at, they need to compete. At home, you're heading into the tournament. You fell from that 2nd seed in the SWAC. You went down a little bit. That's okay, but you're going to be in the tournament. This team beat you by 34 points last time you guys played.
Mm-hmm.
You need to establish a sense that we are a team that can compete at least in the tournament, regardless of where you're seated. Show out in these games, show out that you are a team that, is competent enough. I mean, I think only one player on the team, I think it's Coffee, I believe, averages 3 assists. No one else averages above 2 assists. They need to play more complete basketball. They need to be a team that actually plays all around, not just one player putting up points and no one else showing up. The whole team needs to show up in these last 3 games.
For sure. For me, I think that the one word that I could tell the guys going into this last stretch of the season, and especially just March as a whole, is just finish. Every game that we played in so far, and since probably that Southern game, has been a winnable game, have been games that you can definitely say, hey, we were supposed to go out there. We were supposed to get that win, but we kind of gave the game away. Losing to Bama State by 1 again, it really hurts, just considering the fact that, hey, you go into that game kind of fired up because you lost to them by 1 the first time. Mm-hmm. That's a game that, while you are disappointed in the loss, if they see us again, we can beat them, and we probably – it's hard to beat a team 3 times, so we go into that next game against them fired up with energy behind us. Alabama A&M, that's not a game you want to lose to 11 points. That's a team that's kind of trying to even make the tournament as a whole. But I would say I'm not too concerned giving up these 2 games.
I think that might have just been fatigue, the Alabama A&M loss, especially it being by 11 points.
For sure.
You go in a hard-fought game against Alabama State. The
Losing
game,
by
I'm
1
sure
again.
they really won it because,
Right.
if you really think about it, the way they kind of lost to Alabama State last time, it felt similar in the fact that it was just an extreme amount of turnovers for them. So next time they play, I'm talking about Alabama State. It was an extreme amount of turnovers the first time they played Alabama State, and it was an extreme amount of turnovers this time too. So next time they see the Hornets, they really have to key in on that, just holding on to the ball. So I think we can get them if we play them a 3rd time around, but I definitely agree with you. We have to compete with Southern.
Absolutely. And
close game.
But that's the thing for me is, although Southern's record would say they're sitting at 13-1 right now in the SWAC play when we're recording this, it would say that they are a giant and just far ahead of everybody else in the conference. But if you look at their games from game to game, they play competitive games with a lot of teams, and they've lost to Alabama State. They lost to Alabama State by 1, just like we lost to Alabama State by 1. They're not anything.
They're not a juggernaut.
They're not, absolutely.
They're not like the team that's
They're not
oh my
unbeatable.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's a team. they just finish and close games well. If we get to that point where we can close games and end games how we start them and how we play in the middle, Southern's not anybody that I'm any more scared of than pick your poison of any other team in the SWAC.
So would you not being scared of them? My question to you would be, out of these 3 teams that we facing, what's a game that you would say we have to win?
I think you got to beat Bethune.
Yeah, especially when we lost that
they're also ahead of us in the standings, but they're only ahead of us in the standings by 1 game right now. So that's kind of like a game where it counts as 2 games because you know, if they get that game over us, that widens the margin. If we get that, we close the gap like completely. We need to beat Bethune. Southern is more than likely going to go into SWAC tournament number 1 anyway. So, I mean, we can not say we can afford to drop that game, but it's not going to be as costly as Bethune, where we're kind of right
lost
there with
them already. We can make that game back.
Yeah,
for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Bethune. I agree with Bethune, but I mean, we lost to all 3 of these teams already. Like, we lost to Grambling, we lost to Southern, we lost to Bethune. I think going 2 out of 3.
Grambling is not a good team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we go 2 out of 3, like, I'm not mad at it. Especially these are teams that you've lost to before. Like, I think it shows turnaround. That's where I would say, like, winning. I would say 2 out of 3. Whatever 2 out of 3 that is, you get 2 out of 3 of these games and you win them. That's impressive to me.
For sure, and I think it also will do a lot for us psychologically as a team to just not have been swept by so many teams that are also in the tournament.
Right. Because if you mess around and do get in there, and oh man, last time I saw this team, they beat us twice. It's not a good look.
Well, to keep the ball pushing, let's talk about some FAMU baseball, who is on to an awful 1-5 start this season.
I don't know if awful is the word, but I'm not trying to be too rude.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the word you would use?
You said atrocious?
Yeah.
That might be the word right there.
Yeah. I met the coach. He seemed like a nice guy. I don't want to do too much, but it's rough.
Is that a problem? Is it a problem he's a nice guy?
Nah, I think the problem is just our pitch. Our problem is the pitching. Yeah. I don't need him to be Bill Belichick. I think just the pitching is really bad. But also, so like, when you look at the record, right? Boom, 1-5. You got to look at who we've been playing, bro. Like, none of these have been, I would say, easy games. I mean, we played, what was it, SEC school? Well, we were scheduled to play 2 SEC schools back to back. UNF came and did us dirty. We keep playing big school after big school, and when you don't have the biggest aspect of the game, which is pitching under control, you're going to run into some problems. Now, hopefully you don't run into some 1-5 problems, but you're going to run into some problems.
I heard they've been rotating the pitching a lot. I haven't seen it personally, but I heard that's something that they've been trying to do. So I think this is just kind of the earlier part in the season where they're trying to get their lineups together. Just overall as a team, trying to figure out what's on your roster, who you want to work with moving forward. So sure. I can definitely credit some of that just to trying to build out that roster, see what's there for y'all.
Oh, it's not. I think they're 2-5 now.
Oh,
that's hard.
They won yesterday?
They won 2 days ago.
Against Alabama A&M, right?
Yeah.
That's hard. Clap it up.
Hey, I mean, you know, we can sit here and joke around though, but you know, having that conference win under their belts early in the season that's a win that can travel. I don't know.
I think it's just the way in which they lose, like 17-1.
Yeah, the Southern game is pretty.
I think that's why I used the word atrocious.
And the thing that's disheartening about that is like, what do you take out of that game? You take out of that game, oh, we can't pitch, we can't defend, we can't hit, we don't get runners on base. Like it's just, I don't know.
Literally, I interviewed coach, and that's pretty much what he said. Like, I asked him about the pitching changes, and I thought he was gonna give me like a PC, like a coaching answer. So I wanted to get guys out there. He was like, I was trying to find somebody who can give me outs. Oh, okay. He was like, yeah, every aspect of baseball, he said you got like 4 aspects of baseball. If you play 2 of them well, you got a chance to compete. We did 0 tonight. Okay.
I'm not mistaken. It's a couple of players who aren't here anymore, like Ty Jackson and Jan Mikkel. They're gone now, right? Or is that a mistake on me? Y'all know.
But my thing about
are you looking at my house? I'm pretty sure Ty Jackson and Jan Mikkel are no longer on the team, and those were big time players for the team last season. So
my thing is though, how you lose 1-17 to Southern, but you only lost by 1 to Missouri, like University of Missouri.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I guess
I don't really get that.
I really don't know.
But that's the thing about baseball as a whole is just like some days the bats get going, some days they don't. Some days, you know, the other team could be hitting the ball really well, but it could just be hit right to somebody and be resulting in a lot of outs. Baseball is
it's so much luck, bro.
It is a lot of luck. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's early. I mean, like, using the word atrocious might be harsh, but just like I said, the 17-1 just really stood out to just like, dang.
Yeah, it's rough stuff.
Well, that's all the time we have to talk about FAMU baseball today. We will keep you updated as the season goes along, and hopefully some things kind of start to turn out a little bit better for them boys out there because, you know, from what I've seen, they've been working hard out there all off season. But to transition to some national college basketball, the North Carolina Tar Heels have struggled a lot this season. They're 1-10, and I think actually they might have just fell to 1-11 in quad one games so far. And yeah, to say the least, things are not looking well for them. Was it right for North Carolina to extend head coach Hubert Davis' contract?
I mean, I'm sure when you extended him, you didn't have this in mind. They did it for a reason. I'm sure they liked, you know, what he was saying in the interviews and the process and the plan that he laid out. I'm sure this wasn't a part of that, though. I didn't have a problem when it first got announced, but it's definitely not looking great now. Sure, there's some regret going around in that building.
I think they're just being patient, maybe, knowing that they have some talent coming in next year. I think that it's a pretty guard-heavy roster this season, just from what I've seen. But, I mean, he's a coach who's been able to take this team to the tournament twice so far during his run.
And that's cool, but taking the team to the tournament at North Carolina, that's not
the ceiling.
I don't feel like that's the standard. I feel like that's that we're used to that being like a lock. Yeah, before Hubert Davis took over, he took over after the 2021 season. So his first season was the 2021-2022 season. They had made the tournament every year since 2009, 2010. Obviously they didn't make it 2020, 2021 because I believe that was, or 2019, 2020 because that was the COVID year. But every other year since 2010, they had made the tournament. Since he's taken over, it looks like they didn't make it they made it and lost in the national final his first year, excuse me. They didn't make it the year after that. The year after that, they lost in the regional semifinals. So that's the Sweet 16. And then
now they're on pace not
this
to make
year,
it again.
they're looking like they're in the first four out according to Joe Lenardi right now. So
that's 50%.
But
50% your first 4 years.
But I'll say this for a North Carolina team though, missing the tournament 2 times in 3 seasons, is that I mean, that's enough to warrant an extension.
I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say that he shouldn't get an extension though.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't feel like this team is poorly coached. I think the roster is designed poorly more than anything. And I think there are some aspects of coaching that could change. But as far as like, you know, him missing the tournament twice, I think it's a little too premature so far to say like, hey, we know you just made the national championship game like 3 years ago, but we actually don't think you can do this anymore, so we're gonna let you go. You know, especially when like your competitors. It's not like your competitors are like, you know, just passing you by. Obviously, Duke is gonna be Duke, and teams like Virginia, and you know they're gonna be solid. But these are not your competitors are not necessarily passing you up either. So
that's real.
I think he has a little bit of time just based off of that alone too.
So you just got a little more patience with them. They just have a little patience.
I think so.
Okay.
I think you need to have a little bit more
but
patience.
That's fair.
With them.
Like I don't disagree with it. I was just like I said, I was more so focused on the extension part. Like it's like what kind of warrants an extension. I'm not saying that he deserves any blame, but has he shown you anything in the last, you know, couple seasons to say, hey, let's extend him right now?
I mean, I don't think recruiting has been bad for UNC.
That's true.
Yeah, but my thing is,
in my opinion,
and you're not wrong about that. The recruiting has been going pretty well. It looks like they got Ian Jackson, who I think was one of the top recruits this past year, and he's looking like a pretty solid ball player. You got your Elliot Godot's, your
Caleb Wilson, I think, is coming next year too.
Right, but you see all that, and it's just like, how are you at North Carolina not making the tournament? This is one of the biggest brands in college basketball. You think of college basketball, you think of Duke, North Carolina. Duke is still doing great. Duke is excelling. Duke is, when Coach K left, they didn't fall off at all.
Yeah.
And why haven't you been able to hit the ground and run in the same speed? Yeah, they made the final or the championship his first year, but I would argue and say that was still Roy Williams' roster. That's the team with Baycott, the team with Brady Manick, those guys. I think was that Caleb Williams and RJ Davis too. I don't know how RJ Davis is still playing, by the way.
It's that COVID year.
Like, man, what? I just feel like for them to extend him, because they just extended him today when we're recording this, he's disappointed me. Like, I don't know. I just feel like you should
I see what you're saying.
be able to do
That's where
more
I'm
with
at.
the UNC brand.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I would say there's never, not never enough, but there's always room for grace. There's always room for patience. You can't expect for a guy to be Coach K, right? But at a true blue blood organization like that, just straight up not making it, like that's unacceptable, low-key. There's no way you can't, whether it is coaching and getting the guys in, whether it be through transferring, recruiting, coaching, it's just straight up unacceptable to not make the tournament if you UNC. Like that's ridiculous, honestly.
Absolutely. And back to your point, like he's gotten some good recruits to come through, but you're still being out recruited by your in-state rival. Like Duke is killing them consistently. Like, yeah, they got Ian Jackson, but they got Cooper Flagg. Yeah, you got what's the guy you said coming in next year?
Caleb Wilson,
but Duke's gonna have somebody for that. And if we're getting outdone by our in-state rival, it's kind of like Auburn and Alabama in football. Auburn's having to change their coach every so often just because they need somebody who can come in and beat Bama. Like
Trying to keep up with Bama.
all that other stuff does not matter. Can you come in and can you get us where Duke is at? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think Hubert Davis is a good coach. He coached under Roy Williams as well. But at some point, it's like, hey, we got to start winning. And we've got to start beating these guys in our conference. And we need to uphold the North Carolina standard.
I think UNC has also had, like, great rosters in the past. Don't get me wrong. But I think Duke has always been, or at least in the last few years, they've been able to really get like some of the top players in these high school classes, like number ones and number twos.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily say that like UNC has necessarily needed to do that in order to compete with Duke though. I think they've always had like a very well-balanced system, well-balanced roster. If they can get back to that, then I mean, who's to say they can't go back to also being a highly touted in-state competitor with Duke? So
Fair point. And I think that kind of lends into just the kind of brands of basketball that they play and the kinds of organizations that they run. Like everybody looks at Duke and understands this is one and done. You get here, you play well, you gone, right? So wouldn't that kind of lean more in UNC's favor? Like we have a brand of basketball that we play. We're bringing you in because we see you as a UNC guy, not just, hey, you're really good, we're going to make you even better and then you're going to be gone. Wouldn't that kind of lean in wouldn't that lean in our favor? Like, okay, we're going to be better than them because we play together. We play our way. But it's just
transfer portal,
yeah.
But I mean, even still in that notion, it's just like you see the teams that are winning in college basketball and you win, in most cases at least, through the portal. You don't win with true freshmen these days. Like, look at Auburn and all the transfers they have. Florida has quite a few as well. They're up there. Houston. Like, these are all teams that have a lot of transfer portal guys, even if they're, like you said, they're not used to playing together, but they're older, they've played college basketball before, they have that type of experience. But speaking of Houston, we're going to move on to the Big 12 and talk some Big 12 hoops. Big 12 has 5 teams ranked in the top 25 right now, including the number 4 Houston Cougars, the number 9 Iowa State Cyclones, the number 10 Texas Tech Red Raiders, number 22 Arizona, and the number 25th ranked BYU Cougars. Who's impressed you guys so far in the Big 12 the most?
Real quick, and you can cut this out. That was tough. I was literally gonna say that. I was literally gonna say to do that. That's tough. But all right, back to it. It has to be Houston. Easily, it has to be Houston. I mean, they're 16-1 in the Big 12 right now, 24-4 overall record. Then they just got to the Big 12 2 years ago, right? If I'm not mistaken, like July 1st, 2023 or 2024.
Sounds about right.
They haven't been in the Big 12 that long. And
They were in the American, right?
Yeah, so they've been number 1 in the Big 12 since they've been in the conference. That's impressive in itself, and they're repeating the same formula they did last year, so it has to go to them.
Yeah, just not only joining and competing, but joining and dominating the way that they have. That's extremely impressive. It's not a small conference. It's not like you're doing this at just any conference. The Big 12 means something in basketball, so to join recently and dominate and make a name for yourself in that way, be top 5 in the rankings?
Yeah. Number 4 right now.
It'll have to be them.
I'm gonna have to agree with Houston. Them being able to split the series this season with Texas Tech, I believe, that's impressive. Them being able to dominate the conference the way they have. But the one thing I can't say about Houston, losses to Auburn, loss to Alabama, these are teams we're gonna have to see. So I'm looking forward to really seeing them crunch down towards the end of this season. But I think so far they've been the most impressive team. Blew BYU out the water earlier this year, so yeah, Houston's been pretty impressive.
Another team, Houston's been great so far, but a team that I've been impressed with the play so far has been Arizona. Coming into the season, I feel like we kind of knew they were going to be solid just based off of their leadership of older guards like Caleb Love. I don't know how you're still playing college basketball, buddy, but shout out to bro. Caleb Love, they got transfer from Bama, Jaden Bradley, who's a contributor. They got a couple other good pieces around there, but right now they're sitting at 8-7 in quad 1 games, and they haven't lost a quad 3 or quad 4 game. So I feel like just having that so far, it's like you've played a good amount of quad 1 games and you've won over 50% of those. That's impressive. That's something that they're definitely going to be able to take into March and build upon. But honestly, when I look at the Big 12, I see some teams that I'm not really even impressed with, because I kind of figure that some of these teams were going to be as good as they are, but I have teams that I'm very, very, very disappointed in. I'm talking to you, Kansas. Bill Self, let's talk about it, buddy. You're 10-7 in your conference right now, and well, I mean, they're 19-9 overall, but you don't play anybody in your out-of-conference schedule. Hunter Dickinson, I'm talking to you, pal. You're in your 12th year of college basketball, and you're not playing winning basketball. So you and KJ Adams, and who's the point guard? DeJuan Harris, and Rylan Griffin, you left Alabama to just be unranked. So shout out to you, bro. Congratulations, you played yourself.
I mean, it's kind of crazy too, because Kansas was number 1 to start the season,
yeah,
right?
And they were some people, they were sitting around talking like, hey, Kansas, they got the team this year, and guess what? Here we are. We're about to go into March, and you're unranked, pal.
What's interesting, I know you said Arizona. Arizona being so great offensively, Houston being really the best team in the conference defensively. That's going to be an interesting matchup when it's time for that tournament. So I'm looking to see kind of how that chess match goes in that game.
Absolutely. I got 2 more teams. Kansas State, I'm talking to you too. Y'all paid Coleman Hawkins, Illinois transfer, who was originally in the draft last year. I think they paid him upwards of $2 million to come play college basketball at your school.
Bad investment.
Thinking that he was going to be the point forward to come and save your program, and he's posting a whopping 10 points a game. $2 million worthy? I don't think so. He's making more than your favorite NBA role player. So they've got to fix that. They're probably not even going to make the tournament, which is embarrassing.
I paid somebody $2 million. We making the tournament.
Like, come on. Come on, yo. That doesn't even make sense. But, yeah, Kansas State, we're talking to you too. But the last team that, honestly, I'm going to open up the floor to has been Baylor. I feel like they've been very disappointing so far this season. We're used to seeing the Baylor teams kind of compete and go far, be scrappy, have the big name players. And they have a big name player. They have VJ Edgecombe, who I feel like kind of went into the season as someone who I thought we're going to talk about a lot when we talk about the top newcomers of college basketball. But as a team, we haven't really heard a lot about them. So how do you guys feel about Baylor's play so far?
Yeah, I just checked their schedule, and I know that there's not many games left in the season, but at this moment, they have as many they have as many losses as they did with the full season last year. So obviously moving backwards, unless you win out, just disappointing as a whole. There were high expectations for this team going into the season. Just real disappointing, honestly. They're mediocre, I would say.
It's disappointing. I had high expectations for Baylor. I think I picked them to win the conference originally. I was that high on the potential that Edgecombe had.
We don't know what's going to happen in that conference tournament, so you might, you know what I'm saying?
They could. It's definitely possible.
NC State run.
My thing for them, I know that VJ was a player that I knew kind of needed some more of those on-ball reps to really be able to be the full leader of that team. What I was thinking though was that the depth around him would really be able to carry. Until he was able to figure that out. And now that he has taken some more of those on-ball reps. He's taken on more responsibility. He's found more of his three-point shot as the season went along, and it still hasn't been able to happen. They still haven't been able to really hit their stride. I think their best win streak of the season was a 4-game win streak, and it was when they were playing nobody really earlier at the beginning of the year. So especially in conference play, it's been disappointing to see how they haven't really been able to handle their top matchups of the season against teams like Arizona. Lost to Texas Tech. It was an ugly game. So, yeah, I've definitely been disappointed in Baylor.
Oh, my bad. Baylor is disappointing, like easily to say that. You know, kind of just the brand of basketball Baylor's supposed to be playing, who they are. To see them unranked, sitting at 8-8 in their conference, it's something that you just wouldn't expect when the season started. So you kind of gotta look at Baylor and say, I guess I gotta ask, y'all think it's more disappointing than Kansas though?
No, because
Okay.
Kansas was, a lot of people had them winning the national championship at the beginning of the year.
And-
Like you said, they were ranked number 1, came out and beat Duke. I don't think it's more disappointing.
Okay.
I remember
I
I
don't
was
think
hyped
it's more
when they beat Duke.
disappointing.
Okay.
Kansas.
That's why I was like, cause like, well, I know we were. If I were to grade it, like Baylor's season, if I were to grade it, I would give them. It would be worse, but comparing them to Kansas, I guess in the Big 12, I would give Baylor like a C-.
I was right there with you.
One thing I can say though, I think Edgecombe might be like solidified top 3 in this class.
Top
That's just my
3.
personal opinion. Like,
I don't think he's
top
better
3
than.
prospect.
I don't think he's better than Cooper Flagg, and I don't think he's better than any of those guys at Rutgers.
I
Either of them.
think he is definitely a better prospect to me than Ace Bailey. His
Why you say
defensive, well, for me, I think it's his combined like athleticism, his burst, his improved on-ball ability. Like he's been way better at just handling the ball this season. Been able to manage situations in the pick and roll too, and also his defensive potential. Definitely, arguably, the best defensive prospect like in this class. So. I think that alone has him in the top 3 for me, just his potential as he grows into more of a creator on the ball. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree with you. I didn't mean to press you. I just didn't fully disagree with you because I know a lot of people are super high on Ace Bailey because his play style is kind of aesthetically pleasing to some people, but I'm not saying he's going to be a bust or anything like that, but I don't really see how that translates to winning in the NBA. This whole like LA Fitness come in and cook. Like, I don't see how that, unless you're like going to a poverty franchise and they're just going to give you the ball and you're going to look. I mean, in the NBA, you're going to always need guys who can get hot quick. You're going to always need microwaves, but not, and I mean, he's not going to go to a good team with how good he is. Just if we're planning on being better for the future, I would love to see how that gets developed.
Yeah, I love the tough shot making for Ace. But for me, it seems like he's a little too reliant on that, especially throughout this season. Now, I know he's sort of a small frame kid who's going to have to really grow into being able to handle the physicality of the NBA, but the fact that at this level, I haven't really seen anything impressive as far as him getting to the rim, you know, finding quality shots in the paint, unassisted looks in the paint at that. Like, that's just not really moving me at the next level. But I still think he's top 5 in the class just based off his tough shot making alone and him not being a horrible defensive prospect himself.
Yeah, just to touch on Ace Bailey a little bit more before we get back on program, I guess you could say. He's currently mocked by Bleacher Report to go number 3 to the Utah Jazz, and I feel like that would be a good little fit, pairing him alongside Markkanen in that front court. Is John Collins still there?
Yeah, Collins is still there.
I mean, they need scoring. They got a bunch of smaller guards who, for the most part, only want to play defense and facilitate. So, I mean, that'll fill a big gap for them, in my opinion. You got guys like Isaiah Collier, Colin Sexton, like I said, who are better when they're only asked to sit down, play defense, facilitate, and not be that number 1 scoring option. Gives Markkanen someone else on offense who they can rely on to get some buckets. I feel like that's a good little fit. But going back to talking about Baylor, VJ Edgecombe, I think my biggest disappointment with the Baylor Bears this year has just been the fact that they have a roster that's built to win. You got guys like Jeremy Roach, who played at Duke for 4 years and knows what it takes to win in college basketball. You got Norchard Omir. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. I definitely did. But he's a senior forward. He's averaging a double-double leading their team. And then you like we said, you got a 5-star player who spent some time playing with his national team ahead of the Olympics, or ahead of Olympic qualifying. Like VJ Edgecombe, he spent this summer playing with the Bahamian national team, practicing with guys like Klay Thompson, Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton, and from what I saw, he was really competing out there. So you would think that a team that's led by those 3 guys is doing a little bit more than 500 in conference play. They currently are 5-9 in quad 1 games and only 3-2 in quad 2. So that's why I would give them a C- as well, like EJ said. Did you guys want to give them like a grade?
Like I said, mediocre, maybe C-. I mean, they above 500. Like that's what's up.
Yeah.
being above 500,
Is that the standard for Baylor basketball?
no, which is what yeah. See.
I would give him a C too. I don't want to go too low because, like you said, the tournament still is
It's
coming
a lot
up.
of it's a lot of basketball to play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ruling them out as far as being able to make some noise, making a deep run into the Big 12 tournament. So I would just give him a C for right now, though.
All right. Well, that's all we have for today talking about college basketball, but definitely stay tuned into halftime with the Playmakers as March approaches and as March goes on, because we will probably be the best source for all college basketball information ahead of conference tournaments and ahead of March Madness. So keep it tuned into halftime with the Playmakers. But headed on to some NFL action. The NFL Combine is coming up, and, it's boom or bust time for those prospects. The 40 time is going to be important. That bench press is going to be important, and them interviews are going to be important. Y'all want to go ahead and start naming some players who we need to look out for ahead of the Combine?
All right, I got you. First off, I got to shout out because I used to play offensive line. Got to shout out offensive lineman, man, offensive tackle Charles Grant, coming from a small school, William and Mary. He's not huge. I mean, for an offensive lineman, he's not huge, 6'4", 300 pounds. But with him not being that huge, I see a lot of versatility coming from him. They could be able to move him around. I'm sure he's going to go into these drills with a chip on his shoulder, coming from a small school, getting that invite. I watched some of his highlights. Really, really strong guy. He can move around. He can move people around for sure. I'm really excited to see his bench press numbers, and I'm really excited to see his 40 time as well. Because if they do decide to move him to center, him getting to the second level is going to be really important. Because he's not huge. Like I said, he's not huge for the offensive line, but he would be a pretty big center. So him being able to move and get to that second level efficiently, that would draft his stock a lot. I think the biggest knock on him is that he's coming from a smaller school. So for example, he had William and Mary. I ain't gonna lie, I learned about William and Mary like 2 days ago. Yeah. So yeah, not a big school at all, FCS school. So when you look at his stats, right, you got a 91 overall blocking grade from Pro Football Focus, 2.4 pressure percentage. That's amazing. But level of competition you're going up against, right? So would he be doing that if he's blocking guys from Alabama? We don't know. Quite simple, we don't know. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what he does. Showing some love to that was crazy. I was going to say showing some love to the big guys out there, but yeah. We just going to say pause and move
on. For me, it's a guy who I was talking about sort of mid-season last year, Jalen Royals. Now, I know this is a very stacked wide receiver class, some might say. You have Travis Hunter, McMillan, Luther Burden. I think Jalen Royals is a guy whose talent really popped last year in the 2023 season. Looking at the stats right now, 71 receptions, 15 touchdowns, 1,080 yards, last year, even though he was struggling with injuries, still 55 receptions, 6 touchdowns, 834 yards. It's a guy who can run routes. It's a guy who's a really good hands guy down the field, can make some tough contested catches, even though he's only 6 feet tall. I'm looking at this guy. I think this is one of the wide receiver prospects who can really be a small school to NFL star guy. And we see that so often, especially at the wide receiver position. You talk about guys like Puka, Antonio Brown. I'm not saying he's going to be on that level. I'm just saying this is a guy who could really go into the league with the right opportunity and pop, because he has all the skills, the route running. He's twitchy, gets off his release very well. So, yeah, good guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go to another receiver in this draft class, Dante Thornton by Tennessee. The guy's 6'5", 214 pounds, and is a former track standout. I think all of that combined, you go to the combine.
It sounds like, hey, you're going to have a great combine.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
For
Like,
sure.
it's like from a combine perspective, I mean, we saw this with A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. Like, he was not going to be physically swole, but just the height, and then they see the height with that speed. I think teams are going to see that at the combine, and just it's going to stand out to them.
For sure. And we know the NFL has no problem putting some weight on you the right way. So
Yeah, that's definitely true.
they could fill out that frame, and he could be a problem for sure.
I have a kind of a boatload of players that people have probably all heard of, but I just kind of need to see them at the combine and see how they fare at the combine compared to other players at their positions, maybe due to their underperformance this past season or just, questions about them as an athlete as a whole. But I'll start out with the quarterbacks. I just feel like there's a kind of a group of quarterbacks who they were all good college quarterbacks, but no one really knows what they're going to do at the next level. That's guys like Jalen Milroe, who's he's kind of do that test well at the combine, but we need to see this. We need to see him throw.
Play, but yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We need to see him throw. Kyle McCord, he's shown flashes at times, but he got the boot from Ohio State for a reason. We got Riley Leonard, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, and Jackson Dart, and Brady Cook. All of those guys, somebody's going to have to rise to the top of those guys to be kind of that tier 2 of quarterback.
Who do you think lead the pack in tier 2? I see what you're saying.
Who do you think that's going to be, though?
That's why I say we got to watch.
I
have no clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue. Jalen Milroe will probably test the best. But,
I got to be honest. I don't see what Milroe. As a guy who watched him closely for 2 years, I don't see it with him.
I'm right there.
And it's no knock against his physical ability. I think he has it, but there's going to be a lot of people who are going to try and compare him to guys like Lamar, compare him to guys like Anthony Richardson. But the reality is he doesn't have the wiggle like Lamar or Anthony Richardson, in my opinion.
For sure. I feel like he does have more power than Lamar.
He does have more power than Lamar.
And probably AR as well.
Let's not say that too loud. Some people going to start calling him a running back.
That's cool.
He does have more power.
That's cool. It's crazy.
We're here for that.
That's crazy. We got to protect black quarterbacks.
It is.
I see where you're coming from, though, Austin, because it's like after Cam and Shador, those tier 2 quarterbacks,
it's like where
do teams go first?
Yeah,
and it's like, I think whoever performs in the combine, like say Jackson Dart has a great combine, he could very easily end up.
And honestly, I think he might be the most talented of all the quarterbacks.
Right.
But
I think for a guy like Jackson Dart, my question is the combine more important than his pro day?
I see Jackson Dart having a Zach Wilson pro day, and
Zach Wilson's pro day got him drafted number 2.
No, I know.
I'm saying I see him having that type of day.
Pro days are very deceiving because those are guys out there padless, no pressure, throwing to guys who they know like the back of their hands. So everything can be manipulated, and they can show what they want to show. I like the combine more because all the throws, everybody's making the same throws, everybody's running the same routes, everybody's running the same drills,
and the pressure.
For sure.
You can just tell there's a lot of pressure on them out there.
And you're being watched by your competition as well.
But the reason I asked though is because there's some quarterbacks who are obviously more physically gifted. So I would imagine that the combine is where guys like Jalen Milroe, those guys go to shine at the combine. I'm not necessarily sure how much the combine can do for a guy like Jackson Dart. Now, it can probably do a lot. But as far as like whether I think this is going to be his big test or is it going to be his pro day, I'm up in the air on that.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But just to keep my list of things that I want to watch at the combine going, we got another group of running backs who I think just kind of underperformed this year, and that's Donovan Edwards and Ollie Gordon II. Those are 2 guys who, coming into this season, I think we all expected to dominate college football, and more or less just didn't. And I think that this combine is going to say a lot about them as athletes. They're going to have a lot of questions to answer from the media, and that'll end up determining a lot about them. Another thing I want to see is Cam Scatabo run the 40, because it's been many times where he just doesn't look like a great athlete to me.
He doesn't look extremely fast. To be that big and have that balance.
That's a better way to put it.
But he doesn't look like he has next level speed.
No, absolutely. I want to see his 40 time. I want to see his vertical jump, and I want to see his cone drills.
Yeah,
I want to see what his speed and his explosiveness.
Can you accelerate and decelerate quickly and not just I'm bigger than you, I'm gonna push you off, whatever. We're not close to the draft just yet, but this draft is gonna say a lot to me because it's not a secret anymore that the running back position in the NFL is getting a lot of attention for selectively drafting, the way that the contracts are set up. If we don't like how you performed, we can find another you easily. So where some of these guys are going to get drafted, what rounds, what kind of money they're going to get, is going to mean a lot. Because I wouldn't say that this is a weak running back draft, running back class. I think it's some solid talent in there for sure. But where these people get selected, which is dependent upon how their pro days look, how their combine looks, it's going to say a lot for sure.
For sure. Moving on. Do you guys think that the LA Rams should part ways with quarterback Matt Stafford? And if so, do you think that the Giants would be a good landing spot for him? Me personally, I don't see why the LA Rams would want to part ways with Matthew Stafford right now. To me, he still throws a really good football. He's got the targets and the running backs to the point where it's not like you need him to be an exceptional athlete to be good. I think that they as a team just have to get in the gym at other places, including their defense. So I'm going to just say, if I'm the Rams, I'm keeping Matt Stafford and I'm keeping the core group of guys we have on offense together.
I agree. Stay the course for right now. I think they're a couple of defensive pieces away for sure. As far as them being able to really run it back and win their conference. Well, did they win the conference last year? I believe they won the conference last year.
No. Yeah, they won the conference.
Yeah.
They played the Vikings.
They got up out of there quick, though.
Yeah. I still see them as a team that's going to be able to run it back. So they ended up beating the Vikings in the playoffs.
Yeah,
last
the first
year,
round they
lost to Philly. So
and I'll say this about Philly: that 37-year-old Matthew Stafford, they were the closest team to Philly throughout that whole playoffs. The whole postseason, they were the closest team to beat Philly.
Chill, bro.
If it wasn't for the snow,
I'm a Commanders fan. Chill out, man.
Yeah, they weren't that far off.
Don't even talk.
We had a chance.
You had a chance. 51 points is not a chance.
Y'all started pouring it on at the end. Let's just move on.
But with Stafford, I mean, a 37-year-old quarterback, taking your team and like you lost by 6 points, you got right there. It didn't work out. I don't see why you should move on. I know there is controversy, of course, like Cooper Kupp. They want to move on from him. I get things like that, but I think you can still use that to bring in a couple of defensive pieces to make your team able to run it back, win your conference again, or win your division again, and then get in the same type of spot and hopefully it goes your way. But as for to responding to the Giants, let's say he did move on, I don't think the Giants would be the best team for him at all, actually. I don't think the Giants are. Because, I mean, again, pointing out Stafford is 37 years old. Like,
right.
He would have to there's only two positions he could be in. He would either have to be in a win-now situation or a veteran leadership situation. And the Giants, if they bring him in, don't have anyone for him to kind of be that vet to.
Nobody for him to coach. Yeah.
So it's like the Giants just wouldn't work out in that situation for him.
For sure. I'm right there with you 110%. And I feel like the Rams kind of do have that. I do know that they have Stetson Bennett on their roster. I'm not sure that's where they want to go with the future of their organization, but like we said too, there's a plethora of good college quarterbacks in this draft in case you wanted to draft one and just see how Matt Stafford works with that young guy and Stetson Bennett to see, if one of those guys could be a viable option in the future.
I mean, as to that Matthew Stafford thing, because actually I was just talking to somebody about this. I just want to see what y'all thought. There was something going on about the Titans and Matthew Stafford. And essentially the point would be to, the Titans draft Cam Ward and bench him and have Matthew Stafford, start for them. I just want to see what y'all thought about that idea or that move.
I don't hate it, but I don't see how that would work.
I don't think if I'm Stafford, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not necessarily sure if I would go through that. So, yeah, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't see why. Like you said, I don't see why I would do that. If I'm still really good, I don't see why I would go to a team that I know for a fact isn't gonna compete, and then they're gonna draft a guy that's more athletic than me. Probably he's definitely on the up and up. It just wouldn't make sense from his perspective, but I hope it works out. Love him as a player.
For sure, and I feel like anybody who inherits the future of that, well, I don't even know about the future because Cooper Kupp is also getting old, but I feel like he's still definitely able to produce in a wide receiver 2 capacity, probably for a year or two.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. It's not really that hard to find wide receivers anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's really not.
They'll be fine. They'll find some guys to replace that production. Yeah. So teams do it all the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of with y'all on that.
Moving on to the land where the magic happens, the National Basketball Association. Things are kind of intensifying right now after the All-Star break, which sucked, by the way. NBA All-Star Weekend.
Shout out to Adam Silver for a horrible product.
Absolutely,
anyways.
Yeah. Adam Silver, you got to tap in with me. Just give a call to the FAMU School of Journalism and Graphic Communication where you can find
the board meetings, guys.
Yeah, where you can find Austin Kaysen, and I got a couple pointers, I got a couple suggestions as to how we can spice up that weekend, and you can put some money in my pocket.
Just 1v1 tournament, $5 million to the winner. Go position for position. Just guards, wings, and bigs. $5 million to each winner. It didn't go like that.
You don't even need that. You just need like 5 spots, 3 dribbles.
Yeah. 3 dribbles, 5. Yeah,
We don't need guards, wings, and big. 5 dribbles, 3 spots. I mean, hey.
I'm not trying to see Jaren.
I'm trying to see Trae Young guard Kevin Durant.
I'm not.
I mean,
I'm just joking.
Hey, I mean, how folks grow up playing in the backyard, that might be a matchup that gets. I mean, Trae Young has been switched on to Kevin Durant probably before in a regular NBA game. At some point, you're going to have to sit down, play defense, and figure out a way to get stopped.
We giving out the sauce. Boom, you got size. You got a size tournament, and then you got like an open weight. You got an open just hooper for hooper. I feel like I could shoot over a big. Bet that's what I'm finna do. I feel like can't none of these little dudes guard me. Bet that's what I'm finna do. We giving out the sauce. If you want any more, contact us at the S. Okay.
Yeah, we can't. We talking a little bit too much. I feel like we giving away free.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You want more?
Yeah, go ahead, plug us though.
SJGC, FAMU, come hit us up. We got you.
For sure, absolutely. But to talk about some regular NBA hoops, the New York Knicks got embarrassed twice this past week. Once at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then a couple days later to the Boston Celtics. You guys think that they're able to contend with those teams? And honestly, actually, you go ahead, go first.
I'm gonna be honest. I have to see how they look when Mitchell Robinson gets back and healthy. But the way I look at this team, the Knicks, they paid a lot of money for this roster. And respect to them, I think that it's a great move for a team that, was a game away from the conference finals last year, really just investing that deep into your roster. My issue is with Cat, the season that he's having, had some MVP conversations earlier in the year. I always just feel like no matter how good he is offensively, him defensively is just atrocious to watch at the 5. But that's the best he's going to be offensively, is if he's playing the 5. But if you move him at the 4, he's going to take a hit offensively, but it might be better for your defense if you're able to pair him next to like a guy like Rudy Gobert, who he had in his situation in Minnesota. And in this situation, a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who could probably be a better rim protector for them. I think that's a move that could potentially make him better overall. But even still, I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to be enough to compete with the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm glad you said defensively. I don't like watching Karl Anthony Towns play basketball. This whole like, it's either a 3, or I'm about to like start at the free throw line and run in a straight line with no real move to the lane. Somebody breathe on me. Oh my God! Like I don't care.
Nah, hold on, wait. Editor, who edit that out?
No, bro. There are clips of him for 2 minutes straight. 2 minutes straight of him, somebody breathing. Oh my God! Like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. He too big to be doing all that, bro. And he has post moves. He just doesn't use them. Like I'll never understand. I don't care for watching him play basketball.
I feel like Justin actually kind of hit it on the head, honestly. Like, thinking about it, it's tough to assess them without Mitchell Robinson, because we saw what Cat can do when he gets moved to that 4 spot with Rudy. I mean, Timberwolves went all the way to the conference finals. It went to Game 7, right, against the Mavericks?
No,
it was late.
No,
Game 6?
I think it was Game 5.
Oh, okay.
Game 5.
I thought it went deeper than that.
It felt really competitive. It felt like it
felt
competitive series, but yeah, I think the Mavs got him.
Regardless, the point being, I think the team will definitely thrive better when Mitchell Robinson comes back. So that's something to take into account. But in terms of competing with the Cavs and the Celtics, I just don't know if that star power or that level that
it only went to 5.
Yeah, Game 5.
Yeah, it felt competitive. It felt like it was close games. But
it felt close though, right? Like
Mavs definitely got the first 2. I think they got the 3rd, but I get what you're saying though. But for me, especially when you look at like the Celtics and especially Cleveland, the way their roster is constructed, I don't know if having Josh Hart out there trying to guard a guy like Evan Mobley. That's not going to work for me.
Yeah, it's not a good matchup.
It's not going to work.
That's what I was getting at. The matchup, like, before I got cut off, the matchup between them and the Cavs and the Celtics, they don't match up well. And I just feel like it's going to be a repeat of last year, where you might get past the first round playing a lower-seeded team, but then once you see the Cavs or the Celtics, you're going to get beat, and then it's going to be the same thing.
Well, I think a big part of that, like y'all said, is the Mitchell Robinson take. Because, again, call me a Cat hater. Call me what you want. Cat playing your 5 in playoff basketball is not the solution, bro. You can't rely on him to consistently get rebounds. You can't rely on him to move bodies around. You can't, you just can't. So you need an enforcer like Mitchell Robinson down there to really really be physical with guys. So you don't have Josh Hart playing his heart out against Evan Mobley, which is kind of crazy because I don't know if y'all. It's probably not sustainable in the playoff series, but we just saw the Lakers do this against Jokic. They kind of had smaller guys on him, daring them to shoot, and it didn't work out that great for Jokic. So maybe teams going to start doing that, but yeah, you need Mitchell Robinson because Cat at the 5, no.
Yeah, buddy, I'm gonna call you a Cat hater because you've been hating on Cat for the last 5 minutes.
Cat not terrible. It's just,
but
I think he thrives better at that
for
position.
sure. But my thing is, I think that only helps them in a series against Cleveland, because obviously Cleveland runs with Mobley and Jarrett Allen, and even still, then they do a lot of playing one of them at a time throughout points of the game. But I feel like in a 7-game series with the Boston Celtics, you can't really play Mitchell Robinson a whole lot. He's going to spend a lot of time on the bench just due to the simple fact that he's not a good perimeter defender. Yep. And when you have the Celtics centers are Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, who spend majority of their time at the 3-point line. Yeah, they'll come in and set some ball screens and end up in the mid-range, the high post and things like that. But like I said, they spend the majority of their time at the 3-point line. You don't want to have Mitchell Robinson out there chasing guys around a bunch of ball screens and getting stuck in isolation situations where he has to guard Jason Tatum and
he will get
Jaylen Brown and exactly.
And that's just the matchup between the big men.
For sure.
Yeah,
but
then you start talking about the matchup between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the Knicks. It also feels like they have the advantage there as well.
Yeah, so, I don't think that this Knicks team matches up well with either of those teams. I heard Stephen A. Smith, who's probably got the biggest voice of any Knicks fan. He said he doesn't see them going beyond 5 games with either of them, and I'm right there with him. Yeah. They might steal a game at home against one of them, but
shoot, if he sees it, it's true.
Yeah, I just don't see it. And not to mention those Knicks players have so many minutes on their bodies from this season. They
system.
They right.
They're gonna have a 6-man lineup in the 6-man rotation.
No, for sure. I mean, it might go to 7 once Mitchell Robinson gets back, but I mean, I just don't see it happening for them. You need more. You need more regular season depth. You need a big who's more switchable than Mitchell Robinson, and like you guys said, Cat's not a viable playoff option. So I'm gonna have to say no for the Knicks turning it around. But we could talk some Western Conference hoops as well. Obviously, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been dominant all season long. We saw them take a crazy loss last night at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves on their own home floor. Great
game, though.
And
I turned it off. I didn't get to watch the great game. I got to watch it. I turned it off. I thought they was about what?
It was 24 at one point in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, bro, I was done. It was the fourth quarter. I was done. I turned on what was it? I turned on nightcap and went to sleep. I wake up, Ant game saving block. Like what?
Hey, man, it's not over till the fat lady sings.
I guess. Is that a problem for y'all though? Do y'all think that can happen in the playoffs? Do y'all see
that type of comeback?
Yeah,
I've seen it happen before.
Yeah,
but I'm saying with them specifically.
With the Thunder?
Yeah. Do you feel like they'll have a problem executing?
I think so.
Absolutely.
I think anytime the SGA is off the floor, it's really a concern.
SGA was on the floor.
No, but I'm saying like for them, a team that's like he's really an offensive engine for them.
For sure.
I don't have the on-off numbers, but it's a crazy differential when he's on the floor versus when he's off the floor for them offensively. So that's going to be a concern whenever he's off the floor, and you're concerned about teams like the Lakers, who we're going to get into next, or even other teams like Denver being able to take advantage of those non-SGA minutes. So
for sure, I think that the biggest threat that I don't see a lot of NBA teams doing too often. I mean, we saw the Heat do it a couple years ago when they were playing against Giannis in the playoffs, and we saw, I believe it was the Portland Trailblazers back in like 2017 or 2018, do it to try to guard Anthony Davis when he was on the Pelicans, is switching up and running kind of a trapping kind of matchup zone. I don't know why NBA teams kind of tend to stay away from going zone at times, but it has proven to be really effective to stop some of the league's best players. But the question I have for you guys is, with the Lakers, the new look Lakers and Luka Doncic, if they were to face the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series, who would you guys have winning? Why? And how many games?
It depends, because as the day that we're shooting this right now, they're playing the Mavericks tonight. I know Luka got at least 40. He got something to prove. So if he play like that, I think they could beat anybody. But realistically speaking, I probably would have the Thunder. I think they're just deeper. I think that the Lakers' lack of a real big is problematic in the playoffs. Bron's my GOAT. I think he can beat anybody, but I don't see how him and Luka mesh well playing playoff basketball together, as opposed to the Thunder that I've seen play well in the playoffs already. So just I don't know.
Would take an absolute coaching masterclass from JJ Redick, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull this one off. Like you said, it's really the front court that makes all the difference. The Lakers' lack of having a true defender in their front court, and having to deal with Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, that's an issue for them. Not only that, but we're talking about Lou Dort, who he kind of gave Luka some issues in the Thunder series versus the Mavs last year. He really gave him some issues. That was probably one of Luka's least efficient playoff series throughout his entire career. And the defensive scheme that they were to roll out there now with Lou Dort. Did I say Lou Williams before?
No, I don't think you did.
But rolling out there with Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, these are guys who can really give Luka a nightmare matchup. Now, it's Luka Doncic, big body. He's gonna get his too. There's gonna be moments where he gets his for sure, but just the versatility for them defensively is gonna make all the difference. And I'm not sure if Luka and a 40-year-old LeBron is gonna be enough to really push them over that hump, especially with the way SGA is playing.
I'm trying to think if I want to be crazy or not. My bad. The Lakers. Realistically, no. Just from the simple fact that, the Lakers team just...
Hold on. Editor, edit that out. The question was, who do you have winning in the series? You said no.
Yeah, well, my bad. The Lakers, no. Like, I don't think that the Lakers... Well, let me start from the top. I think the Thunder would take a 7-game series against the Lakers. And mostly because I don't know if the Lakers roster is as complete to compete with the Thunder, who have been together since the start of this season. Like, the Thunder haven't really made any changes. Players have just come back from injury, and they've been. I know they blew that 24-point lead they had to the Timberwolves, but they're a solid team that has been there before together. So I just think when you take all that into account, you have to lean towards the Thunder. I mean, it would be disregarding the fact they only have 11 losses on the season right now.
Crazy.
Like, they're a good team, and it would be a close series. I see it at least going to game 6 between them, but overall, just between roster, OKC would have the home court advantage as well. I'm gonna give it to OKC.
And now that's something interesting, because I would think personally, the longer the series goes, I think it lends more towards the Lakers. Just playoff experience with Bron, having great players like that. I feel like the longer the series goes on, and giving JJ Redick more time to game plan around with,
That's true as well, but it's just tough because, like I said, this OKC team they're hooping.
They nasty.
Yeah, I think it's at the point now where it doesn't really matter. Like, well, obviously experience it's great to have, but just the level that SGA has reached at this point in his career it's MVP level.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if that even matters as much.
Yeah. Do y'all is there anything in y'all mind that y'all think can be done to like make that potentially more competitive, especially like maybe in the front court? Maybe I've heard some ideas like maybe try and make Bron like a small ball rim protector.
They just gotta show up every game.
I was gonna say for the Lakers, and this is always the problem with the Lakers. It's just LeBron's not gonna lose you the game. Luka's probably not gonna lose you the game, at least offensively. My thing for it is just those other guys. Is Hachimura needs to step up and hit threes.
100%.
They need Olympics Hachimura.
Dorian, literally, Finney-Smith has to step up and hit big shots.
Reeves has to be
Reeves
gotta be hitting.
Reeves has to play well. I even want to see good playoff minutes from Cam Reddish. Gabe Vincent needs to sit on the bench. Gabe Vincent needs to sit on the bench. Gabe Vincent needs to sit on the bench.
I don't think they heard you.
Literally, like Gabe Vincent, please.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right there. Like this roster,
no, my question is, who keeps giving Gabe Vincent burn? Like, who lets that man step on? All right.
Are you a Gabe Vincentator?
Yes, bro. That man is horrible.
I don't know how many of these guys are really you're gonna be able to run like that. Like,
exactly.
Jared Vanderbilt, obviously great defensive talent.
But I think he could be the key to the series defensively.
Yeah.
If you put him
in his
but him being so like abysmal offensively, that's not concerning for y'all against a historically great defensive OKC team.
No, it's not. It's not, because if he can contain, maintain, and just
JJ can
you
draw
know,
up something to just, hey,
if
you
he
on
can-
offense, you are in the corner.
Yeah,
Hit this.
because if he contains SGA to an extent, that makes life so much easier on the other end. You have LeBron and Luka on the other end, to the point where someone's going to get an open shot if you set them enough ball screens, you put them in enough ISO situations, to the point where, so like I said, somebody's gonna be open.
Do y'all think that
It's about
OKC's
hitting
big man might be a factor as well?
No, I was gonna say
Yeah,
Chet
that-
Holmgren is coming back.
Yes.
Should be in the next week.
That's
Yeah,
why I said
I'm saying,
LeBron
like,
at the
That
5.
that might be
That's where I was
the,
gonna go. Like, even if like you scheme that up, you shut down SGA, he's not putting up 30s. Numbers down to like 21, 24 points per game, maybe. You still have that problem with Chet and even Isaiah Hartenstein, because I think he's at least somewhat solid of a backup center.
Absolutely.
So I just think that, like I said, it's just depth. Like OKC, they have a more complete team. The Lakers is going to be like LeBron and Luka are going to show up, of course, but are those other guys going to be enough? And I just don't think that they will.
That's a good point you made, though, because honestly, if you were to assume that Vando could not lock up, but like you said, contain SGA, it would be a lot easier for the Lakers to win, because if you're relying on the bigs for the Thunder to win, you have less of a volume of threes. Isaiah Hartenstein isn't. I'm not scared if they pass the ball out to him in 3. Of course, Chet can play at all levels, but primarily he's focused on inside the paint. So just less scoring from them outside. I think it'll be a lot easier to game plan around. So yeah, Vanderbilt could definitely be a key player in that matchup. It'll be fun to watch though, for sure.
for sure. That's all the time we have for today. Obviously, we're gonna get into our shout outs. So y'all take it away.
Man, shout out to God and shout out to guys in the studio and who aren't in the studio right now. Shout out to graduation coming up for me, and shout out to just everyone's overall success. Stay safe out there, y'all boys and girls.
Shout out to God. I'm praying for all of you all and your success as well. Shout out to the whole Flavor Station. We've really been putting out some good work this year. A very committed radio station that we have on FAMU's campus. So shout out to 90.5. And also, I want to give a shout out to my older sister, Amber. Her 30th birthday this weekend. Love you, sis. And looking forward to being there.
Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday. Ooh, what was that? That's a little bit better. Okay, cool. Shout out to God first and foremost. Shout out to 90.5. I'm so glad to be a part of the family now. I've been telling everybody I'm on the onboarding process for 90.5. Now I'm I genuinely feel like a part of the family. This has been super cool. First live show a couple days ago. First pod episode. Just yeah. Shout out to God first and foremost. Shout out to the family at 90.5. Love y'all boys. And last but not least, shout out Cadence and Kendall. I love y'all. Y'all probably gonna fast forward to get to this part, but it's all good. Love.
Yeah. Shout out to my Lord and Savior. Shout out to the guys in the studio. Shout out to Elijah especially. First pod and first podcast, or first live show and first podcast within a couple of days. Yeah, hey, that's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's really impressive. You've been here ready to step up at all times. So that's great. Yeah, to everybody at home listening, we appreciate you for tuning in. Y'all keep making plays too, cause hey, we can all be a playmaker.
Except for Carl Anthony Towns.
Tight. All right.
That's my dog.
Maybe we hating on the way out, but anyway. Halftime with the Playmakers is produced in the studios of WANM-FM 90.5 in the School of Journalism and Graphic Communication at Florida A&M University.